One of the parts of this evening that I remember making quite a big impression on me when I attended my first All Boys dinner in 2011 was the two toasts that are about to be made. And I think they are of equal importance. The man who will be delivering the toast to absent friends tonight is Mr. Eddie Penzhorn. He sent through quite an elaborate and very impressive CV to me, and I think if I was able to list all of his accomplishments, it would probably take us about an hour further into the evening. He matriculated in 1964, and he had a very proud career as an educator in this country. He served as a member of the staff here at Boys High, and he took up post as a deputy headmaster at the Glen. He was the founding headmaster of Willow Ridge, after which he took up a position in the Transvaal Education Department and finally ended his career in the private sector. But most importantly, Mr. Penzhorn is a stalwart of the All Boys Association, and it is an absolute pleasure to ask him to come and give his toast to absent friends this evening. Thank you.
Master of Ceremonies, distinguished guests, the first order of business is please ensure that your glasses are charged. Second order of business is I'd like to thank Timothy Lowes for setting the scene so comfortably in his opening prayer for this rather special toast. It's an honor to present it, a toast that goes back to 1914, when in fact, with the tremendous massacre and the loss of life, those who had been in battle with their comrades suddenly realized that if they do not remember the price that was paid by those who did not return, those who stayed behind will be forgotten. Out of that toast grew a custom not only to include those who did not come back from battle, but also those who had passed on after they had returned. Now, the same applies to our school. All of us experienced the 11th of November, first Armistice Day and then Remembrance Day services at the school, where the names of every one of those boys and masters were read out solemnly and with great dignity. So as we stand here tonight, we actually go back and we say to ourselves, when we drink this toast, we cover generations at the school, we cover different reasons for having passed on. But on a personal level, we should probably also include those friends of ours from school days with whom we've lost contact or who simply couldn't be here tonight. And on that note, it is my pleasant duty to read the apologies that were recorded for the dinner tonight. Chris Morris, Eugene Ashton, Edward Meyer, John O'Reilly, Kenneth Schmuller, Elwin van den Aardweg, Robin Shawnee, Anthony Melk, Peter Digby, Roderick Stewart, Brian Southwood, Paul Somerville, Louis Denton, Gavin Beckwith, Wendell Howe, Ted Jones, Terence Sharman, Tappy Thompson, Raymond de Brat, and Giles Sekchiari. In conclusion, it is my sad duty to read out the names of those old boys who answered the sunset call since our last dinner. There are a total of 32 names on the list. The names from 2017 are as follows, and I will give the year in which they left the school, where applicable. Alan John Foote, 1950. Howard Richard Soulsby, 1957. Norman Schramm Rotzeth, 1940. Robert Clifford Turner, 1968. Cherry Schroeder, life member of the association. Bill Cheery Emmett, 1949. Kenneth Caper, 1947. John Michael Verster, 1964. Lawrence Johannes van Milo, 1975. Claude Dennis Victor, 1968. Robert Johannes Willem Spanjaard, 1954. Owen Brian Moose Taljaard, 1965. William McWinter Smith, 1964. David William McKellar, 1962. Alistair Edward Riley, 1961. Trevor Zway, 1976. And Peter Carl Combrink, 1957. 1918, Keith Ernest Gibbs, Old Boy Master and Life Vice President of the Association, 1952. Brian Newby, 1940. Murray Davis Lynch, 2008. Vernon Matheson, 1970. Carl Rocher, 1954. Hendrik Boet Mens, 1942. Robert Julius Joseph Mathieu, 1950. Martin Ross Coetzee, 2012. Humphrey Rolliston Esser, 1949. Malcolm Werner, 1951. Herschel David Folkson, 1970. Atwick Penix Hipkin, 1961. Tsedelno Nati Sepire, 2003. Murray Bernard Hofmeyer, 1942. And Brian Lawrence Taverner, 1961. Gentlemen, I ask you to rise and to join me in a toast. To those who did not return, to those who have since passed on, and to those who could not be with us tonight, to absent friends. Thank you.